Hello and welcome to Warriors Weekly, where we talk about the week that was for the Warriors and preview the week that will be for the Warriors. I'm Dalton Johnson, and before we dive into this, make sure to comment, like, and of course, subscribe for more. All right, the week that was. Before we get into things, I gotta give a little story time. I was not able to make a Warriors Weekly last week. I appreciated some people on social media saying that they'd be looking for the next one, that they understood, because my travel was god-awful. The Warriors played the Thunder on Tuesday. Usually when we travel as beat reporters, you get in the night before. I plan on getting there late the night before, around 10:30 at night in Oklahoma City, so I can be with my daughter, get a couple things done before traveling. And then on my way to the airport, the delays kept getting a little worse and a little worse and then a little worse, where I was going to completely miss my connecting flight in Phoenix at SFO, had to cancel that flight, had to find a new one at 10:30 at night that would get me at OKC the next morning at 10:30 in the morning. So I was at SFO for about 9 hours, went on about maybe 1 hour of sleep in the air, and then was there for that OKC game, which was an absolute beatdown by the defending champions on the Warriors. They were humbled. They were embarrassed. They were quiet in the locker room for sure. That was a tough feeling in the locker room after that game. You know, you had people like Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler talking about sacrifice, talking about committing to winning. And then the next day in San Antonio, the Warriors have a long and lengthy and very honest film review where there were conversations with multiple different players, more so about mindset and approach than anything else. But then it was Steph Curry time. The last two games the two games that Steph Curry had in San Antonio, it was cinema. It was theater. It was meant for the IMAX. It almost brought me back to that double bang game in OKC 10 years ago. Like, you could just feel that, no, he's going to do this. 46 points, 49 points. The matchup against Victor Wembanyama, Draymond Green against Victor Wembanyama, Jimmy Butler being the perfect number two as a scoring option, as a rebounder, as a distributor. The role players coming through, like Gary Payton II, after having such a tough start to the season. Brandon Podziemski having some of his best minutes that he's had this season as well. I just thought overall those two San Antonio games had absolutely everything, and they were the kind of wins that you needed after that loss in OKC to show themselves in the locker room and to show the rest of the NBA, like, no, we are still here. We know how we just looked against OKC. We know that the Spurs are here and they're on the rise. They're the future, but we're still the present. That was the message that I felt in that locker room. Draymond Green was giddy in that locker room. He was feeling it because he knows what he just did with the battle against Victor Wembanyama. He knows that when he needs to, he still has it inside of him. So those were just two inspiring wins by the Warriors. And then to top off the week, they have the win in New Orleans, where after Steph scores a combined 95 points against the Spurs, he can't make anything against the Pelicans. But you know what? Moses Moody could. Moses Moody couldn't miss to begin the game. Made 7 threes in the first quarter. Joined only Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in Warriors franchise history to make 7 or more three-pointers in a single quarter. Moses Moody wound up with a career high 8 three-pointers and 32 points. And to me, that is a big deal because Steph can't do this every single game. Yeah, he can still do it when he's challenged like he was in San Antonio, but not every single game, and he shouldn't have to against the Pelicans. Neither should Jimmy Butler. Like, that's a game for a Moses Moody to get his rhythm, to show that he can win games as well. The Moses Moody at this point is now shooting over 45% from three-point range. Maybe he didn't stay there the entire season, but I fully believe that Moses Moody is a 40% three-point shooter in this league, and that there's no reason that he should lose his starting spot because of his two-way ability for this Warriors lineup. I think Steve Kerr is making that very clear right now, that Moses is here to stay in the starting lineup, and we'll see going forward, of course, because right now, the starting lineup also includes Will Richard. So after a really slow start to this road trip, the Warriors rattle off 3 straight wins. They are now 3-1 on the 6-game road trip. And that brings us to today, which is Tuesday, where they play the Orlando Magic, who do not have Paolo Banchero. It's the first night of a back-to-back, and then they play the Miami Heat the next night before then playing the Blazers back at home on Friday, returning to Chase Center, where they've been very comfortable this season. If they can win one of these next two games, that's a 4-2 road trip, which is easily a successful road trip. I would say that those San Antonio games already made it a successful road trip, but now you can't trick off a game against the Magic who don't have their best player. Like, this is still a strong Magic team. I think they're better than what their record has shown, for sure. There is talent there. It's just a slow start. So you got to go out and get this win against the Magic without Paolo Banchero. And the interesting thing is that first night of a back-to-back, the only person who's out for the Warriors, aside from D'Anthony Melton, who's still recovering from his knee surgery, is Jonathan Kuminga. JK will miss his third straight game, really like his third and a half, with bilateral knee tendonitis. He has soreness in both of his knees right now. It's apparently been bugging him for a little bit longer than we even knew. He didn't come out for halftime of that first Spurs game. We saw him going down the tunnel with about 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Never came back for the second half, and now will miss his third straight entire game with that knee tendonitis. Something to keep an eye on. But again, you play the Magic tonight. They play the Heat tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So they're playing Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and I would assume so even Al Horford, the first night of a back-to-back against Orlando. And then you think about, okay, this has been a grueling start to the season. This has been a long road trip. Maybe in Miami, like a handful of those guys get a rest. We already know for sure if Al Horford's playing in Orlando, he won't be playing in Miami. He will not be playing both games of a back-to-back. What I want to see is who else is going to join him. So that's the interesting thing that I'm looking for right now, because then they finally get a little bit of a breather. You come home for one day. Thursday will obviously be a day off. They're back home at Chase Center against the Blazers, a team that they would like to get a little revenge for, even though that loss earlier in the season was definitely a schedule loss. Second time of a back-to-back after the emotional overtime win against the Nuggets back at home. So you get the one day off Thursday. You play the Blazers on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, no game. So I really want to see how Steve Kerr handles who's going to play in Miami, and just how the Warriors, these next two games, cap off a 6-game road trip, which has easily been their longest road trip of the season. It will end a 17-game stretch where the Warriors will have played 12 games on the road and will have had 5 back-to-backs. That's before anybody else had more than 3 back-to-backs, more than anyone else played more than 15 games. The schedule has been brutal to the Warriors. We have to remember that when we looked at the overall product of the Warriors. But these two San Antonio wins against the Spurs on the road, both being comeback wins, are 2 games that I think later in the season we're going to look back on and go, those were the games. Those games told us a whole lot about this team, and this is why we can believe in this Warriors team. It might not be an every game thing, but you get that kind of team with that kind of just conviction, confidence, the experience, and the superstar that you can turn to and say, go win us a game. That's what makes them so dangerous in a 7-game series where you just need to win 4 games. Over a series, this team is still very much puts fear in teams around the league. I'm Dalton Johnson. This is Warriors Weekly. We'll be seeing you guys next week.